Part 3, Coming Home. Chapter 20, Learn to Pivot. Learning to pivot is an essential skill. A pivot in an organization or movement is a definitive change in strategy or direction after new information reveals the existing approach is ineffective, for one reason or another. A pivot may even include reassessing the original goal of the company, the problem they had set out to solve, or the product they had begun to build, and exchanging it for a better one. In any enterprise, we have to test things to see if they work, and understand that what may have worked in the past will not necessarily work in the future. And that's okay. We should never fall in love with our tools or our tactics. Focus and experience will prove whether or not they work. And if they aren't working, it's time to pivot. Our game plan and tactics should always be placed in service of the cause. For the first 7 years, live action focused on investigative reporting. That was the tactic we used to expose the abortion industry and Planned Parenthood's willingness to enable the sexual abuse of minors, the racism of would-be donors, the sexual trafficking of young girls, the sexual miseducation of teens, the gruesomeness of the late-term abortion industry, and sex-selective abortion, among other evils. In this process, we revealed the lies routinely told by Planned Parenthood staff and management to cover their crimes. Many of our investigations gave us the opportunity to demonstrate how abusive and lawless Planned Parenthood has been. When our videos went viral and got media coverage, our investigations brought abortion into the forefront of public awareness. As a result of our investigative reporting, more than a dozen states cut off Planned Parenthood from various taxpayer-funded sources. Several of those states opened investigations into the abortion chain's practices. Severed from state funding, dozens of Planned Parenthood facilities closed, and multiple staff were fired for embarrassing the corporation. But that was state money. Planned Parenthood now has an annual revenue in excess of $1.4 billion, more than $600 million of which comes from the federal government in one form or another. Our work had moved the House to vote for defunding Planned Parenthood, but the Senate and White House would not yield. Planned Parenthood had deep pockets and friends in high places, in both the political and media spheres. Its media friends included most journalists and many entertainers, and they continued to influence millions to support abortion. Few mainstream media reporters were interested in reporting on our investigative findings. Often, to the extent mainstream media investigated anything we did, it was in an attempt to discredit us. They were not interested in asking real questions about the operations of the nation's biggest abortion chain, or the abuses of independent abortion facilities. Meanwhile, the social media giants, from Facebook to Twitter to Pinterest, often discriminated against us, shutting us down or limiting our exposure. It seemed as though most people who supported abortion didn't care about Planned Parenthood's other abuses, or they didn't trust us, as pro-life activists, to report the truth. I realized that, more than ever, we needed to help change minds on abortion before we could effectively change minds on Planned Parenthood. This didn't mean we should drop investigative reporting. Live action still continues it today, and will expose the abuses of the abortion industry until the industry is shut down. But I realized that investigative reporting and lobbying were not enough on their own. We were never going to give up, but we were going to pivot. Instead of releasing a major investigation, Live Action's brilliant creative team planned a new video campaign. Working with a former abortionist, Dr. Anthony Levatino, we began creating videos that would show the reality of abortion. The videos were detailed medical animations of the 4 most prevalent abortion procedures from the first trimester through the 3rd. Stay tuned for part 2 of this chapter coming up next.